Hello, coming up in the next few minutes, everything you need to know about filing this year's self-assessment return. Do you need to file one in the first place, the easiest way to go about it, and where to go for help and advice too. First of all, the new self-assessment TV ads have a new face this autumn, and she joins us now. It's Moira Stewart. Hello.
Hello there, David.
Were you surprised when you were asked to do this? How did you feel when the phone rang?
I was really surprised and a bit apprehensive, a little worried, and then I thought, yeah, go for it.
We'll take a look at the ad in a moment. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm looking forward to this. But am I right in thinking that we normally see the ads in January and now suddenly they're on the television in October? Why is that?
Change in deadline for the paper returns. It's now the 31st of October.
All right, let's take a look at the TV ad now.
Hi.
Hi. I was wondering if you'd like to go out for a drink with me next week.
Today, Steve Buckley, 34, from Burton Latimer, asked Jenny Palmer out for a date. And there are two dates you should remember. If you want to do your tax return online, you have until the 31st of January. But if you choose to do it on paper, you must do it by the 31st of October. Self-assessment. Tax doesn't have to be taxing.
Well, it's certainly on the quirky side. Tell me, was that fun to do? Did you enjoy that?
It was delicious. I am so impressed with the actors. They were just absolutely wonderful. And I think they got the message across.
We know the deadline for filing online returns is still 31st of January. Does that mean you get to film another commercial?
Unfortunately not. Everything's in the can.
You filmed it already?
Yes, absolutely.
So when do we get to see the new one?
Apparently beginning of January, thereabouts.
And was it as much fun? Is it the same sort of idea?
Oh, it was absolutely delicious. Different storyline, but, oh, those actors were just brilliant. So professional.
Finally, I'm worried that you're now going to be stopped in the street and people are going to be asking when you're doing your shopping and going about your business how they should file their returns.
I'd be precious little help. I am no tax expert. I know how to try to avoid the penalties, but that's as far as my expertise goes.
Laura, thank you very much.
David, thank you.
All right, let's find out more about these HMRC self-assessment changes in greater detail. Joining me from HMRC is Claire Merrills. Nice to meet you. October 31st then, it's all changed this year. What does it mean?
The October 31st deadline is a new deadline for people who want to send their tax returns back to us on paper. If you want to send it online, you've still got until the 31st of January, and we've made a few changes to the form as well to make them a bit more simple.
All right, we'll talk more about October 31st in just a moment. First of all, who has to fill out a self-assessment return? Is it absolutely everybody?
No, in actual fact, it's less than 1 in 3 of the people in this country who pay tax that will ever have to fill out a tax return. But the people that do need to fill it out are people who are self-employed, people who are company directors, and those who've got income that isn't taxed before they actually get it. So, for example, if they were renting out a house and they were getting income from that, and people with more complicated tax affairs. But the majority of people, as I say, will never see one.
All right, if I'm listening to you now and I suddenly have thought she's talking about me, and I don't know where to begin, what do I do? Where do I get a form from?
First thing you need to do is to give us a call, phone your local tax office, have a chat with them, explain why you think you actually need a tax return, and they'll tell you whether you do or not. And if you do, they'll pop one in the post.
So if I've decided I want to file on paper this year, but I want to do so after October 31st, is there going to be a penalty?
If you do send the form back in after the 31st on paper, then you could get a £100 penalty. But if you pay all the tax that's due to us by the 31st of January, we'll reduce that to zero.
All right, there are obviously benefits to filing online and filing on paper. If you file online, you get the extra 3 months. So there are other benefits as well.
The thing about filing online is that you can dip in and out of it as you choose. If you can put details on that you've got and then you think, oh, I need a few more, go back in a few weeks later and do it. The other good thing about it is it tells you if you're making mistakes as you're going along. It'll ping up something, did you really mean to say that? Then it works out the calculation for you so you know as soon as you've finished exactly what you've got to pay.
All right, you've convinced me.
Yeah.
I've decided I want to file online. How do I register? Where do I begin?
The first place you need to go is to our website, www.hmrc.gov.uk/SA, and then click on the bit on that page that says register for self-assessment online, and then it'll just take you through all the bits and pieces you need to do.
All right, this January 31st deadline then, what happens if I don't file by 31st of January? Am I in big trouble?
Again, you could get a £100 penalty if you don't send the form back to us by then.
Okay, I'll send the form back to you by then.
Yeah.
I've done everything I've meant to do. When do I have to pay? Is it immediately?
It depends when you're filling the form in. If you're leaving it right until the very last minute, 31st of January, then you will have to pay straight away. But if you're doing it earlier on in the year, you're going to have that breathing space because the deadline for sending money to us is the 31st of January.
All right, if this is all really frightening and you don't know where to begin, what advice would you give about where to start?
What you need to do first of all is start in the kitchen. Make yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Get yourself a slice of cake.
Is the cake tax deductible or not?
No, I'm sorry, no. But you need to sit down with that, relax yourself, look at all the bits and pieces you need. If you're doing it online, look at our step-by-step guide to filling in your tax return. That's on there. If you've got it in paper, in the guide we send you, that tells you exactly the things that you need to do to fill it in. So just relax when you do it.
One more final piece of advice then.
Sooner rather than later. The sooner you get it filled in, it's like a huge weight lifted off your shoulders. You've done it, you know straight away how much tax you've got to pay, and then you can sit back and don't have to pay it until the end of January.
At the very beginning, we promised that we'd give some information on where to go for more help and advice. Can you point me in the right direction, please?
You can go to our website, www.hmrc.gov.uk/SA, or you can phone us on 0845 9000 444.
Claire, thank you very much for joining us. If you want that information again, then it's hmrc.gov.uk/SA or telephone 0845 9000 444. Thank you very much for watching.